Welcome to the Joe Vin Sports Show. On today's episode, we're going to be going through NFL headlines, some MLB headlines, and NBA players sneaking out of their rooms for food, and what food would we sneak out for. So, Vinny, we're going to start off with NFL headlines. We're going to start with the Chiefs, man. How are they doing this? How are they? Where's this money coming from? Are they just not paying their other players?
No, they are. I'm waiting for, like three more guys to get extensions before the weekend. I don't understand the Chris Jones deal. I'm trying to pull up right now their salaries, but this was a big deal. There was a lot of money. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think it's over $20 million a year.
Yes. I'm just pulling it up right now. Over the cap. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, their annual per year, let's see. I mean, they're paying Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, Sammy Watkins, Eric Fisher, Kelsey, Mitchell Schwartz, now Mahomes. I don't really know how they're doing this, to be honest. But
they're just backloading everyone's contract, so when Andy Reid retires, the Chiefs are done.
Dude, I guess. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm counting here. I don't know. The Mahomes thing, I'd have to dig in deeper. His contract, it was an extension.
Yeah, I don't think that money is counting towards the cap this season. But
that's
next
what
season,
I'm thinking.
I think they're in deep problems.
Yeah,
they're also paying Tyreek Hill starting next year too, I think.
Right.
I think also an extension.
Yeah, it looks like from Sport Track, which is usually pretty good about updating, real time for the most part. It's still showing Mahomes is only a 5.3 cap hit this year. So it must be something where it doesn't click in until March of next year. The 2021 season is where it is locked in. Even, and beyond that, his next 3 or 4 years is guaranteed. But I don't think his cap hit really takes place this year, which is why they were able to do the Chris Jones thing, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure on
getting paid, man. And it's just the salary cap thing. It's why even have a salary cap anymore? Just unlimited like the 90s and just let teams pay their players as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to do it, right? There's ways around it when it comes to signing bonuses versus base salary versus, roster bonuses. There's a lot of different things you can do. Frank Clark is the one where it's he's making as much as Mahomes. I think his cap hit I'm seeing is $25 million next year. And Tyrann Mathieu is a lot too. But as we know, it's all about the guaranteed money. I think they have enough to maneuver this year and make it happen, but we'll see. We talked about in the last pod, if they can keep drafting well and drafting cheap, they're going to have abilities to do this. But if the cap is going to go down, we is projected next year. I mean, multiple people are talking it could go down 40, 50 million. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of these guys are going to be cap casualties, no doubt about it. Yeah. I don't know where you really start, but it's going to happen. You can't pay everyone. And, that's in normal times with the cap going up. I don't know how that's going to work, if you have to shed 50 million of cap space to get down next year. So I'm not really sure, but it seems like every day I turn on the news, the Chiefs are extending someone else. So
exactly. Moving on to another extension, we got Derrick Henry. He signed a pretty good deal today. 4 years, 50 mil. And I want to say about 27 million of it was guaranteed. So I think the guarantees are crazy.
25, 27. So basically, 12 million a year, about 12, 13 million a year. And the next 2 years are guaranteed. I think it's a pretty good deal on both sides. What is your thoughts overall? Because I feel like this is one of those people drawing lines in the sand. You either pay running backs or you don't pay running backs. What's kind of your
So I feel like if you're a team like the Tennessee Titans, you're going to coach like Mike Vrabel. He's going to put more value on a running back, especially in that system. If it wasn't for Derrick Henry, they would have made the playoffs last year, and they would have made the run in the playoffs last year that they did.
Right.
Now, Derrick Henry is the MVP centerpiece around the entire offense. And you can say a guy like Le'Veon Bell when he was on the Steelers, the reality was he was obviously a machine, but he wasn't the centerpiece of the offense, right? James Conner went in and did just the same job because you had Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown at the time. Mm-hmm. I think the whole team of the Titans is centered around Derrick Henry. So this contract was definitely worth it. I don't see this being a line drawn in the sand that people are going to start paying their running backs unless that guy is your centerpiece.
But for instance, if you're an NFL GM And don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry's awesome, right? I mean, the guy is just a human wrecking ball. And, for his size, obviously every running back breaks down, but, I'd lean that he's probably not going to. Do you think it's a situation like if you were a GM building a team, even if you have a power running game or you run 60% of the time or whatever it might be, wouldn't you think like you could just tag Derrick Henry and then let him walk, take the compensatory pick,
Well,
and
that's
go
what I was
draft another
looking
like
at.
stud in the second, third round next year?
So what I was looking at, the franchise tag that was already put on him before they got the extension was about 10.5 million.
Right.
They bumped him up to about 13.1, right, with this new contract per year.
Yeah, about there.
Now you're thinking only 27 is guaranteed.
Right.
So you gave him a bonus of 3 million a year, which he's absolutely deserved more than like most running backs.
Yep.
And he's only on for 2 years if you think about it. So I mean, it's only like an extended franchise tag. It's like a franchise tag times 2. I don't know. I don't think it was a good deal, honestly, on Henry's side. I think he could have got a little more guaranteed out of this. He might as well just stay franchise tag and test the market next year. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think the challenge from Henry's standpoint is, again, this is a guy who's going to tote the rock like 300 times this year. He's one big injury away for a running back. You may never be the same, right? So I get it. Like you said, I'm taking 2 years versus the 1 guaranteed.
Yeah.
13 million's a lot. That's wealth that, you may not get if you get injured, right? So I guess I'm thinking more of the running back situation, and I get it. He's kind of a special one with McCaffrey. I look at McCaffrey as pretty unique where he could play receiver. He could, play in the slot for 5 years, and be
you're a good offensive coordinator. You run the whole offense around McCaffrey, right?
Right. But I guess what I'm getting at is like I looked at the list of upcoming free agents next year, running backs, and it's a stocked list. Like, you're talking Kamara is a free agent. Like there's like a lot of guys. There's like 6 or 7 premier running backs. Do you think the wave is going to be like now teams are possibly going to start looking to keep some of these guys, or because then there's 2 mindsets, right? Like you have Kyle Shanahan who's like, bro, just give me a body and I'll turn him into a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
Just curious. It'll be interesting.
The NFL comes in waves, right? Yeah. And it's all cyclical and it just keeps going round and around. Running backs have been dead in the water for about 15 years now, it seems like, other than guys like Adrian Peterson and your really special guys. I think that's going to turn. I think like the amount of talent at running back in the NFL right now is way stronger than it was like even 5 or 6 years ago on an overall basis.
Yeah.
And I just think there's going to be a lot of good quality running backs out there, and teams are starting to formulate their offenses around run games because linebackers and D linemen are getting smaller. Like I said, everyone's trying to find the advantage, and obviously the Titans last year found an advantage. I mean, they had an average quarterback in Tannehill. He's proven no more than average, even though he took him to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And look what they did. And it was all based around a strong O-line, a running back, and a defense, old school football. And I think that's going to come back in a wave.
Yeah, I think the running back position, like looking at it more and thinking about it, it's pretty wild. Like how, even though it's moved to a passing league, to me, it's like running backs are like not falling off trees, like really good ones, like if you play DraftKings or fantasy, it's like, I got to take a running back early in 2 of them or 3 of them, because there's not many guys that are going to like tote the rock, 20,
they have to
30
share
times
carries.
a game.
They get 15 carries in a game.
So you have like a less talent pool of players that are really dynamic and good. Whereas receivers are, what was this year? Like, a record for receivers drafted. Like there's just dudes everywhere, so I feel like it's almost like if you're building a team, a way to kind of buck the trend and Belichick it is like, go running back, pay the running back, a premier guy. And then I'll find a receiver off the street that could come in and, and play really well, like a really talented guy, get
a 4th round pick guy that can be a total starter in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys that are like, I'm looking at like most teams' depth charts and they're like 5th, 6th roster bubble guys. And I'm like, dude, that guy was great in college. Like every team has like 3 or 4 receivers that are awesome, like a lot of them do. So it's kind of fascinating. I'm curious to see how that kind of goes, going forward.
I think running backs, they're going to make a little bit of a comeback. The rules are definitely not just the rules, but just how the players are changing. right?
Yeah.
Players are getting smaller and faster and quicker to cover these slot receivers, these George Kittles, these Kelseys. These linebackers are weighing 225 pounds. And you got a guy like Derrick Henry at 250 toting the rock. I think you're going to see a lot more guys like him, and even like a Josh Jacobs that has ridiculous break tackle. He's a 220-pound back, and those backs are going to start tearing these linebackers up, and then the pendulum just sways back and forth.
And I think there's something to be said too for like Vrabel. You hit on it, and I think the Titans organization's a good organization, and they're looking at it going, look, we're about to run this guy into the ground. We do every year. Derrick Henry, like we are going to give him the load to carry. We might as well make him happy. Like, an extra year guaranteed is not going to kill us. This guy needs to be happy because our team goes as he goes, and Tannehill without him is going to be a mess. And I'm with you. Like, I think,
and this is a good future move too, because, they don't have to pay Derrick Henry. They could have kept him on the franchise tag, right? It was one of those moves. There's a lot of gratuity to this. And that moves us to our next point of the Jacksonville Jaguars with Yannick Ngakoue, where it's like Tennessee, they're trying to be favorable to their players. You want to be a players organization where players want to come play there. And I think Tennessee with Vrabel's really building that. A lot of players are saying, hey, I want to go play for that guy.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars are the complete opposite.
They have to be the least favorite team from a player's perspective in the league right now, right? Like, they're not nobody's signing them unless they're completely overpaying. Like, I couldn't imagine.
It's like the Raiders back in like 2008. Like, we were just paying players these ridiculous contracts on the back end of their careers. That's what the Jaguars are turning into.
Well, yeah, and I keep hearing rumors like they're kind of trying to tank for what's his name, Trevor Lawrence, but this is like the third or fourth major player. And they've drafted pretty well, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
They have a lot of talent on
Miles
that team over
Jack,
the last 3 or 4
Jalen
years,
Ramsey.
man.
But yeah, they've got dudes in Ngakoue, like, and all of them won out. Like, so are they just not committed to winning? Like, I know Tom Coughlin was a major problem there. That was water and wine mixing together. But,
it's a whole new age, man. Being that hard-nosed old coach, right? Like, Belichick's earned that right because he's Bill Belichick, but Tom Coughlin really hasn't, to most players' opinion. They go, who's this guy just yelling at us to be on time? I'm a professional football player. You got a guy like Vrabel that's telling these guys, hey, you need to be on time, but they respect him because he's won Super Bowls, right? And
And
I don't think anyone respects anybody in Jacksonville.
Well, Marone's been on the hot seat now for a couple of years, like Caldwell. Again,
and I think a lot of the players really love Marone. And since he's been on the hot seat and almost fired so many times, the players hate that organization for it. They go, they want that guy there.
Dude, they are just an organization. Like, they are the complete proof because they came a couple minutes between going to the Super Bowl. They were in the AFC Championship game, 3 years ago?
Yeah, Bortles.
It just shows you, like, that roster was legit. The roster was great. And if you don't have the right guy behind the center, the quarterback, it's over. Like, how they got that far with Blake Bortles was a miracle. And you saw it crumble just as fastly.
That defense was insane. And
just as fast as it came together. Fell apart. So
that's a bad organization, right?
I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville, but they're
can't regress like that.
They have issues, man. They have a lot of issues. Like, I just don't see no premier players going there, and they're one of the teams that you can imagine. Like, if you're a top prospect, you're just going, please don't call my name. Like, please don't send me to Jacksonville. So it sucks. It's unfortunate. Like, they still have some really good players there, but I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with Ngakoue either. Like, what they say, they have multiple teams offering trades, like first-round picks. The Jags are saying they want 2 first-round picks. Apparently, a team came out and said that they offered like another Pro Bowl player for him that just doesn't quite fit the new scheme or whatnot. So who knows who that is? But I feel like if you're Jacksonville, it's like you're doing this to yourself. If you can get value for the guy who's not going to be here long term and is going to be, not a team guy in the locker room, like, just move on. Get your first or second round pick. Or go get your player in trade, like whatever it is.
But the Bears really screwed this one up for the Jaguars, right? Like, the defensive end market. Like, you look at Ngakoue, and he is – I don't know if I would say he's Khalil Mack, but he's definitely up there. He's in the top 3, like, pass rushers, man. He's legit, and he's young. And I guarantee they're going, no, we want the Raider deal. We want 3 first-round picks, and a couple thirds. Like, they want the mega deal, and they're going to hold strong. And I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Ngakoue hold out this season. If there's a season to do it, I mean.
Yeah, the problem is from my understanding, the new CBA is if you hold out into the season, like remember it used to be like you could hold out to like week 8 or 10 and report, and then you still get your service time. If you hold out and you miss week 1, your service time is knocked out. Like he will be again in the same situation next year where they can just franchise him again and again. So the players are like, I don't know who like really read through the fine print and agreed to this, but same with Dalvin Cook. Like, dude, you guys don't have the power anymore to like kind of pull these stunts, pull a Zeke or whatnot. But I don't know, man. I feel like they need to deal them because it's just going to get ugly quicker. But
so moving on to another team, we got the Cowboys. This Dak thing is it's out of control. The headlines are out of control. It's almost like they have nothing else to talk about except for Dak's contract that he keeps saying no to.
It's so tiresome, and it's mainly, I mean, obviously, unless you're a Cowboys fan, you just hate the Cowboys. Like they're 24/7, ESPN, NFL Network. Like all they want to do is talk about, Jerry Jones and his team. Dude, I'm in the belief that I think like it's probably best for Dak and the Cowboys to not do this long-term deal. The Cowboys offered him, I think, a pretty fair deal. Again, the cap's going to go down next year. So let's not like forget that. The Cowboys are also saying like, look, go get it elsewhere. Like, let me ask you this. If Dak went to another, let's say quarterback needy team, like let's say a team that's like kind of a fringe quarterback, let's say the Raiders, let's say, Jacksonville, or, one of these teams where it's kind of iffy if like they have the guy, does he make that team that much better than the current person in place?
No, I think Dak is a top 17 quarterback, right? He's in the top half, but they offer to pay him top 5 money right now.
He would be the 4th rumored, right? We don't know the contract details, but based on what everyone says is they were willing to make him the 4th or 5th highest paid quarterback in the league this year. That is with a 1-2 playoff record, a guy who's probably 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way down to like 15th in like rankings.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't really know what he's looking for. Like, is he looking for brownie points because he's wearing the Cowboy shield on his helmet? Like,
the big thing is when you look for this contract, like the Mahomes deal, right? Like Mahomes is an outrageous deal, but can you carry players on your team? Do you make players better? And I haven't seen that from Dak because his offense is so stacked. He's had the number 1 offensive line his entire career.
Yes.
He's had Ezekiel Elliott for 3 years now.
Yep.
And the guy's had just unreal weapons around him at all times.
The Bleacher Report, I think, just came out. They have the number 1 receiving core in the league.
Yeah. So, thing is, like, I can't see him going to a team and getting paid all this money and saying, hey, now we can't pay your weapons, by the way.
Bro, he's also got,
him not doing well.
He's also got an elite defense. Like, he's got everything. Like,
he goes 10-6.
The only knock was, like, you had Jason Garrett as a coach. Okay, well, find me another team that, again, has the team is stacked and has just as good of a coach, right? Like, you're not going to get that much better of a situation. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Honestly, this year I'm predicting the Cowboys, they're ranking them top 3 and everything like they always do in the offseason. I think it's going to be a disaster. I think with McCarthy coming through, I mean, all the success came with Aaron Rodgers, which is Houdini on the field, pretty much making up for shitty play calls all the time.
And changing like half the plays. Like
right.
McCarthy
and
called.
Dak Prescott's not that guy. Like his most viable thing he can do because he is like really thick is he can run the ball and get you those like 5 or 6 yards when you need it. And he does a really good job of that in the goal line and stuff. But when it comes to being a pure passer, throwing for 4,500 yards and carrying this team, it's not happening.
Dude, so since he came into the league, he's 6th in passing yards. He's 9th in touchdowns, 7th in attempts, and 16th in QBR. Like, he's a 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th best quarterback, which is still really damn good.
Absolutely.
But, like, you also, again, like you pointed out, all the weapons he has around him. You're 1-2 in the playoffs. Didn't even make it last year. In a division where an 8-8 team won the division. Like
Yeah,
it was
last
there
year.
for the taking. The division
That's
was
the thing.
horrible.
If he led them to an 11-win season or a 12-win season last year and actually made a little bit of a playoff run, I'm not even saying Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah,
3 straight years to the playoffs. Like
he's
you're contending.
he's earning what he's asking for. But I mean, the guy missed the playoffs last year when his team was star-studded.
And that offensive line's getting older. You know, like
Time's running out.
Zeke's getting banged up. You know, I don't know, man. I don't see it. Like, I don't see the Cowboys committed to him. It's very obvious that's the case. I think they made a pretty fair deal. Like,
dude, they offered him Russell Wilson money, and I'm sorry, but Russell Wilson is the top 2 quarterback in the NFL. That
no
guy
one
just wins
does
games
more.
with nobody around him.
Nobody does more with less, and that includes like Mahomes. Like, if you gave the Chiefs or put it this way, if you put Russell Wilson on the Cowboys, they have 2 titles, 3 titles, maybe
easily. Dude.
Like,
easily,
it's unbelievable. So I think that's the case in point. And I think Dak just also, like, be careful what you wish for, right? Like, I think someone pointed out, I was listening to earlier, he bet on himself last year, got him here. You didn't make the playoffs. You didn't have a great year, good year, not great. The cap's going down, and I mean, it took Cam Newton two months to find a job. Like a healthy Cam Newton, I know he's got some personality things that maybe played a role in that, but Cam Newton healthy was a better player than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And
I would honestly put Dak Prescott, and this might sound outrageous. I don't think it actually is when you look at the numbers. Dak Prescott and like Andy Dalton are very parallel players in my opinion.
You smell quarterback controversy?
I'm just saying, like, does Andy Dalton have a job?
Dude, he's on the Cowboys. He's the Cowboys' backup.
There you go.
That's why I say quarterback controversy.
I was just saying, I'm like, there's quarterback on the market somewhere. Okay, so Andy Dalton's on the Cowboys. Yes. I'm telling you, they are very similar quarterbacks in every which way. And the worst thing that can happen to Dak this year is he gets an injury and misses like 3 weeks, and Andy Dalton comes in and does the same exact job.
Well, McCarthy's not tied to him at all. That's obvious. So if that happens, watch out.
And more quarterbacks are hitting free agency, man. And the Cowboys are going, wait, are we going to stick with above average all the time? Or are we going to take a shot in the dark on somebody that ends up being a Patrick Mahomes in the next couple of years? You don't want to tie yourself down to an above average quarterback. I mean,
that's the thing. Like, that's how I look at it too. I think that's a really good point. I think Dak is in that like above average category, above average to good.
Yeah.
But that's not beating Mahomes and winning a Super Bowl. That's not beating Russell Wilson. That's not beating, these teams in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. It's not cutting it. It's not going to get the job done. So, it's not going to beat the Saints this year with Breeze. The Niners, like, you need that guy. And this is always my take with Alex Smith and the Niners. Is he good? Yeah. Like, when he finally got some consistency and he had a coach and he had like people actually protecting him. But you were never winning the big game with Alex Smith.
Right.
And in my opinion, it's like, if you have that, do not overpay him, cut ties, and you work to try to find that right guy.
Yeah. In my opinion, this is, and I really hope Dak plays on his 1 year deal this year. Because I think as Cowboys as a whole, as an organization right now, they're at the end of that run that they've been building. Right. And they've actually carried this run on for like 6 years now. It's been like 6 years. They've been a upper echelon team and just not doing it. Have they been to a conference championship game with these just insane rosters that they've been putting together? Huge drafts. I mean, they, as a organization, they've been doing a phenomenal job.
I know. And I hope Dak gets it done and can either shove it in Jerry's face. Cause again, as a Niners fan, I'd love for them to have to pay him 40-50 million a year and good luck. Like, that's unfortunate for them. Have to pay him Mahomes money, but I just don't see it. And, I think he's right there again with like Kirk Cousins and, some of these guys where it's like above average, but bro, you're not even the best quarterback in your division. When Carson Wentz is healthy, he's a better quarterback than you.
Yeah.
So that answers that, you know what I mean? So I could see him missing the playoffs again, which is crazy to say, but there's a chance that McCarthy comes in and butts heads with, Jerry's world and, all these things. Like, I don't know, man. I'm with you. I don't see it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what I'm rooting for. I just know the Cowboys. I don't root for anything that hits like public media like the Cowboys do. Dude, like they just own ESPN. I just can't handle it.
It's just drama 24/7. It drives me crazy.
Jerry just gets drunk and starts drama. It's great.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to NBA?
Dude, so I had to touch on this story. I know we're not huge NBA guys. And I like it more than you do, but, we're not experts or follow it super close or anything.
I'm
But
a March Madness guy.
I saw this headline and I figured we had to talk about it. So Kings is Rashawn Holmes. So you understand what's going on with like the NBA bubble and everything.
Right. They're like in a hotel.
Well, they're in like the Walt Disney World Resort. Like there's a sports complex there and everything. And they basically like put all these teams in the block of hotels and like shut it down to anybody on the outside. Everyone got there at the same time. Players, once you're in there and you're quarantined together, the thought is like, well, you can move freely within the bubble because it's like its own little world and everybody's quarantined. How the virus can't get in. So they have like a really hardcore, like anonymous tip line apparently, where like if I see you break the quarantine, I can like call it in and be like, hey, I saw Joey leave and like go to a strip club or something.
Dude, who's the snitch?
Yeah, so that's the first thing. Like, what's going on? And people are like joking around, like LeBron's just sitting there, like watching out the window, like yeah. So this dude, Rashawn Holmes, got busted because he left the bubble to go pick up a food delivery, like a DoorDash or something, and now he's got to wait an extra 10 days to quarantine, like in his hotel room. So he may miss the start of NBA playoffs.
That'll happen.
So my question to you, what are the top 3 or top food that you would like cross that line for and like go ski mask and like just sneak out the window and like barrel crawl like across like that line to
I got 2 that I would totally bear crawl out for with the ski mask on. And the other one is just a great idea that these players need to get in their heads.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're trying to give the players ideas.
Yeah. So the first one I would sneak out for is a steak sandwich with au jus sauce. Like that's a go-to. Like and you can't just get that in your hotel. I'm sorry. French dip, au jus, boom, that's it.
That sounds awesome. Okay.
Number 2, me being California boy, In-N-Out. That's a wow. Okay. I would sneak out for some In-N-Out.
I had that too, so let's cancel that out because I also realized like you're in Orlando, it's not there. So if we're trying to like, I hear you. If it was here, if the
we're trying to give them better advice.
If the bubble was here, like I'm breaking out of these chains for some In-N-Out. Like I'm going to get some. If you're in Florida though, like we'll put an asterisk next to In-N-Out. What? Okay.
Well, so then my number one idea is you just need to get a microwave for your hotel room and buy some chips, buy some cheese. You guys show nachos. Anytime
you're a big nacho
want.
Guy.
I'm a big nacho guy, and you could really – I mean, I could do anything in a hotel room if I have a microwave, nachos, and cheese. I mean, chips and cheese. That's all I need. Some salsa. You're good. So now it's for NBA players, man, like get yourself a microwave, have it Amazon delivered or something. Like, because I know hotel rooms don't have microwaves.
That's the problem. Like nobody can have things delivered. So you would have to like find a way to sneak out and get the microwave if your room doesn't have one. I got to assume the NBA teams are staying in like hotels with microwaves, but that's the point. Like he didn't go to the food place, and I'm still trying to dig.
You got it from the delivery guy right outside the gates.
He was like delivery guy, like leave it in parking space 4, and then I'll go get it. But he had to.
Honestly, I think it's pretty genius.
It's great because that guy can't get in. Like there's like security. They won't let those people into the bubble. So you got to be the one that initiated or pay someone like, I really, dude, like I'm paying someone $500 for Panda Express. Like, bro, bring it in. If you get caught, I'm not the one who's getting suspended. Like that's you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know why the NBA is just not having a guy or girl that literally just takes the food from the delivery people, put it in a quarantine area for 15 minutes, take it up to the person's room.
Clean it, wash it down, clean it off.
Pretty simple, right? Like, and I'm not going to get into COVID stuff, but it's been proven that it's through physical contact, not on your food bags. So it's like
here's your In-N-Out rubbed down with some Lysol wipes, like enjoy it.
It takes all the flavor away.
Okay, so my 2 was like one kind of along the lines of your steak sandwich idea, just some really good barbecue. Like I feel like I would break curfew for that. Like I would cross company lines and like scale a wall for
especially in Orlando. There's some good barbecue down
there. Dude, and I don't know. You see the box lunches they got the first day. I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Like I'm sneaking out for like a huge platter, like the ribs, the sausage, the steak, like I want it all. And like, I would just have a huge platter and get it back to my room. The second thought was kind of along the lines that you were saying with the microwave, like thinking outside the box to give these guys some ideas. Dude, if you're going to do it, it's, you got to have like quantity almost over quality, right? Like you need to stock up. Like, cause if you're risking it, Now this guy's on 10-day quarantine. He can't even sneak out for more food. So like if you're gonna roll the dice, like you need to make it worth your effort, right? I think you just go big, like you go get like a bunch of pizzas.
And you have like all the bunch of Red Barons, just like a stack.
Red Barons, or I mean, dude, even like just like a really good pizza in the area. Like I'm Yelping it, I'm finding a 5-star pizza place, and I'm like, you're stacking 10 of them in my room, and I'm gonna like put them in like coolers, like I'll baggie them or like foil them, and then I got cold pizza for like a week.
You got a lot of these players though that are like, wait, I have to think about my food for tomorrow.
Like, yeah, that's true. These guys have never done that. Yeah.
Like, wait, a cooler? What's that for?
Yeah. I've talked to like some of my lineman buddies, and like I like asked them, and instantly there was answers. Like they've thought about this before, like long before Rashawn Woods like just acted out. Like these guys know what's going on.
I want to know.
You gotta find some of the bigger players, dude. Like the big guys, the centers. Those guys know what's up.
I want to know what their weed policy is.
It's the NBA, dude. Like
I know it's the NBA, but I mean they're at Disney. And like, you think these guys just brought just OZs on end?
No, they were talking like they're like really concerned that like somehow like players are gonna be like sneaking in, like they're just gonna pay strip clubs to like come to them.
James
like
Harden.
That was the big thing, like keep the women out. Like it's like, okay, this is insane. Like you're gonna bust someone for Burger King, and like this is what's happening now, sir. So okay.
Well, I wish those guys a whole lot of luck. I think the MLB situation's got a much better deal going on than the NBA's got.
I think the bubble's cool, dude. I just want more like chaos, though. I want more guys sneaking out. I want pictures of like someone like scaling a wall, like a window. Like tying their bed sheets together, like scaling. Like I want someone like caught. Like I feel like that would just make things so awesome and so funny.
That's the problem with the bubble. Everything's staying contained within the bubble. So we only found out about that guy's food because he was in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Or what about like
what's going on in that bubble?
Was it Manziel that had the hot tub in his room? Like his hotel? Or no, it was Josh Rosen. Remember he had the inflatable hot tub in his dorm room?
Yes.
Like that. That's the kind of stuff I'd sneak out for. Like I would get like a sweet hot tub set up. Like. Yeah, go big.
Yeah, when I moved in, it would be like a full move-in, like coming with inflatable stuff. Like, we're just like, what the hell is going on here?
You just pull up at a U-Haul. What's up, guys?
You have a whole dining room set. You're like, no, this is my dining room set, dude.
Dude, you don't even play. Like, why? That's
like, well, that's why I got to be comfortable.
Yeah. All
right. Well, moving on to some MLB headlines. We'll get through this pretty fast. There's not much going on, even though the season starts in about 10 days. We got a bunch of players opting out here, which we all knew was going to happen. I just want to touch on some players that I feel like it's going to be kind of a big deal that they're opting out. I think the biggest one so far has been Nick Markakis for the Braves. They got the Braves to go out and sign Puig. The Braves are scary, dude.
Yeah.
And it's adding Puig to that. I'm not saying Puig's like this world beater or anything. I mean, he definitely hasn't lived up to his potential. But in a normal season, he's hitting 30 bombs, hitting 250, 260, 30 bombs. He's going to be productive for the Braves, and he's got a great arm out there in right field. I think that was a big one. Another one I think that is going to be big is Posey with the Giants. And Posey's kind of giving us what we want here because we really want Joey Bart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we don't want Posey gone. It's not like, obviously he's done so much for the organization, 3 World Series. The guy's probably one of the best catchers of all time in Giants history for sure. But it's one of those things we've seen Posey on the decline, and we want to see this kid Joey Bart that's just smashing bombs.
I know. I'm with you. And a few other guys that opted out, just real quick. Markakis is a big one. Obviously David Price, he was going to be obviously an arm for the Dodgers. Like, I don't know how great.
David Price only was along for the ride because of Mookie.
Yeah, but he eats up innings. And, I mean, anytime you lose a starting pitcher is not great in like a short season, so that was big.
I think the Dodgers are really deep in their farm system. I don't think they're going to miss him that much.
Yeah, the one guy that was like kind of crazy that I saw and I was like, whoa, like all the other guys made sense. Like older guys, like you said, made a ton of money. It was like, all right, that's fine. Like sit out a year or whatever. They won't be affected by it, or maybe they have conditions or something. Is that Michael Kopech for the White Sox?
Yeah.
Dude, he's like their top young pitcher. And if you remember when we were talking about like MLB previews, like the White Sox, a lot of people are predicting to be like really good. And they just lost their ace. Like, and he's young. I mean, I think he's like 22, 23 years old. So that one just kind of came out of left field. But going back to the Posey thing. So I don't know. As a Giants fan, and I know we kind of cover everything nationally, like we're much more Bay Area focused, obviously, and like where our, I shouldn't say expertise, but like what we follow day to day. I think teams that aren't clearly looking to like win a title, they're being realistic. I mean, Farhad's come out and like been very upfront. Like the team, they're not going to be ready to win for a couple of years. You don't have to worry about putting fans in the stands. Like that's not happening this year. So I'll be really upset if I don't see Bart and, I know he's 18 years old, but Luciano, Jalen Davis, Heliot Ramos, like they have some guys for the first time in a while that are young core guys. And I get it if they're not ready, but without minor league baseball this year, it's like they need to be on the roster and they need to be playing. I don't care if they hit, 180. I think the big misconception, and I'm sorry if people disagree or, some of these like baseball purists, but like the game's getting younger. And you're seeing all these guys come up at a super young age.
It's getting more athletic, right? It's just athletic. Like not just your bombers. It's these guys they're all kind of 5-tool players.
But we're seeing like multiple guys per year get called up and that are like 18, 19, 20 years old. And they're like awesome. Juan Soto, Ozzie Albies, Harper came up at 18. These dudes are everywhere. Fernando Tatis with the Padres. Dude, these guys don't need a lot of like seasoning down in the minors. Like they are coming and they are ready to play. And especially, I mean, Joey Bart was a college catcher. These guys went to college. Now, right? So 21 or 22, it's like get them up and get ready. And in my opinion, it's like get their lumps out now. Like, I don't care about this season. I want to tune in and watch every day to see these young kids play and see what we got looking forward to next year and the year after. I have no interest in tuning into a Giants game to see, Evan Longoria, Hunter Pence, and Pablo Sandoval hit back to back to back. Like, I have no interest in watching games like that. Crawford, Belt. Like, that was cool in 2010, 12, 14. We're in 2020. Like,
it's been 6 years.
It's time to move on. I get it, contracts and stuff like that. There's a reason why these guys are on the roster, but I'm sorry, like Pablo should be playing 1 day a week. Like, especially with the DH, like you don't have to put Luciano out at shortstop.
So that's what I was going to
put them in the lineup to hit every day and get this kid 200-300 at bats to get ready for next year.
And this whole DH in the NL, I want to see Pablo DH. Because, he's a switch hitter and the guy has power and the guy's just overweight as hell. But give me a little bit of old school, like Mo Vaughn, like 1995, dude. Like just this huge fat dude just hitting dingers.
He doesn't get the memo about like no spitting. He's just got a huge dip in.
Huge chewing. Yeah, dude, I can't wait. Like, so Pablo I'd like to see just for fun. But you're right. I want the young players out there. It's going to make it more fun. I mean, it feels like every other team that's doing well, it's young. They're under 25.
And I think
the Giants
they have,
are just not.
It's just, to me, it's a perfect storm. You have the new coach. It's a new era with Farhad. You've got, new coaching staff. You've got, it's time to get rid of some of the older blood, and you may not be able to get rid of them for contract wise, but it doesn't mean you have to play them every day. I'm perfectly fine with Belt platooning. And if he doesn't like it, like that sucks, I'm sorry. It's time to move on from some of these guys. And the baseball purists as well, and all the guys. The argument I hear is just like, well, we don't, they don't want to start their arbitration clock early. The Giants have nearly unlimited money. They print money, and there is no restrictions on there. In 2 or 3 years, when they shed these contracts, they're going to have only Longoria tied to a contract, and that's with like 1 year remaining. I think in 2021 or 22. There's one guy left, and that's Longoria. That's the only guy they're tied to past that. So it's like, can we stop worrying about contracts and arbitration for 3 years down the road? Get this guy in here and figure out in a short season if they're legit or not. And if they're not, then we need to start looking for the next guy. Same thing with Dak. This team is far behind the Dodgers, and the only way you get there is by getting these young guys playing time and get them ramped up to go compete with the Dodgers in 2-3 years.
Exactly.
Luciano better get used to facing Walker Buehler. Might as well, because you're going to see him for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what
And
I'm
it's
saying?
like,
So
who's going to remember if you went 20-40 in the season?
dude, I don't
No one's
care if
going to
they win
remember.
5 games. If
No
they're
one's going to
exciting
remember.
and they're like these young kids are better off for it next year, I will gladly take an exciting young team that's playing hard versus, again, the same Pablo, Pence, Belt, Crawford, Longoria lineup.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that same story for 6 years not win.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't get it. So I hope that's where they're going.
Yeah. What do you think about this? The no retaliation rules coming up here in baseball, because you're not allowed to touch other teammates or players in other teams, other than tagging them out.
I mean,
so...
do you think the Astros break this? They're going like it's not going to stop them getting plunked.
Well, the thing is, somebody's going to break it, right? We were talking about this. We're going to be in our next interview, in our next pod, guys. I'm doing an interview with Chris, and he's saying adrenaline's there, whether there's fans or not. And you get plunked hard enough, and your adrenaline's pumping. You're not thinking, "Oh, the rules." Like, no, you're going.
People also don't forget. Like, it's not like this 2-month off and COVID thing is going to make teams and players like drop their grudge for Altuve. They're going to see they're going to see him get in the box, and they're like, "Oh, like I'm going after him."
Dude, especially if they're say they're down like 8-0. They're going to start plunking guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because they're like, screw it, we're losing anyways. Or maybe they're out of the playoff race towards the end of the season, and they just start plunking Astros players. I can see it happening.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it's going to – I mean, do you – okay, over, under of 1. Do you think we see a brawl this year? Because of the distancing. They've been, very clear. They're like, there's going to be severe discipline if, this is broken. And I'm guessing a brawl is, the number one thing.
Well, think about it. If you're a player that almost, is reluctant to play in this season anyways.
Right?
You're going, and maybe there's 25 games left. Your team's out of it, and you're just
That's a good call.
You're all, fuck it.
That's a good call, dude.
Because I can see, Puig saying, I can say Yasuo Pig just saying, fuck it.
Or with,
just
the
going
expanded,
attacking somebody.
So here's a theory. The rosters are expanded to start, and then every couple weeks they slowly shrink. So let's say you're that 30th guy, right? And you're not going to be on the team in 2 weeks. Like Chris, they're like you. Altuve goes down next pitch. You're not going to be here anyways. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
What I want to end our pod on is a quote from MLB Milwaukee Brewers player Logan Morrison. They asked him, "How do you feel about playing with no fans?" And he said, "I don't mind empty stands. I played for the Rays and the Marlins." Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Joe Vin Sports Show. In 2 days, we'll be posting our interview with Chris Mazza, pitcher for the Boston Red Sox.
Subscribe, rate, review, follow us on Twitter, and see you next time.
Later.